Hi, here we are again with our next video. This video is going to teach you how to throw a bowl. Now there are basically two types of bowls, what I call a U bowl or a V bowl. I'm going to do a V bowl today. What a V bowl is a bowl that has an angle to it. I'm going to put this over here. It looks like this. You've seen them. They're more decorative. They're for the table. They're for fruit. They're for serving nice salads. What you need to do is to learn how to throw a bowl that I would say is about 45-degree angle. That's your easiest. To go more and more like this is more and more difficult. We're going to be learning how to throw many things when we learn how to throw a V-shaped bowl. A U-shaped bowl is basically a nice round-bellied bowl. Think about it. Those bowls are bowls for bread making, for mixing in the kitchen. This is something like a V bowl. Do you notice that has a narrow foot, comes out really wide? I like these bowls. They're very decorative bowls. This is a bisque piece. It's not glazed yet. And I use it for mostly serving pasta and nice salads. I'm going to put this over here. Now, I just made this yesterday, so it's not even trimmed on the bottom. But this is a U bowl. And a U bowl, you can tell just by looking at it, you're going to want to just mix something with a whisk in here, and it's good for bread making, good for making salads again, and serving pasta just like the other one, but it's more utilitarian. It's wide on the bottom, so it won't rock on the table. Where this bowl, if you really used it for mixing, it's going to rock on a table. It's not meant for mixing. So learn what bowls you want to work with, and I would suggest you work with one type at a time until you're really comfortable making that bowl. Notice I drew this very quick little picture of a V-shaped bowl. If you start with a bowl, it should be a little wider on the bottom, because it has to support the weight of the bowl. But don't go crazy. Don't make it bottom really thick, otherwise it's going to be bottom heavy. This takes experience and takes many bowls to make. I will be giving a demonstration video on how to trim a pot, and I will be trimming a bowl. And I will show you how to, by tapping it, hear the hollowness and the sound of the bowl so you know it's not too thick down here. But remember, it has to be a little bit wider and thicker on the bottom to carry the weight of the piece. First thing I'm going to do is make it into a ball. It's going to be a medium-sized bowl, so why not start it? Remember, I'm about the least amount of work possible. Conserve your strength for throwing the piece, not centering it or shaping the beginning part. All right, once you've got a nice ball, remembering this was your bottom, I like to get my wet bat a little damp and pop it on. Slow wheel, fast hands, dry. Get that piece of clay slapped into shape, slapped into centering. Get most of the work done that way. Now you have very little work to do. So let's center. And it'll take me just a few minutes to get this piece centered. Bowls are one of my favorite shapes to make. I can sit at my wheel and throw bowls of various sizes and shapes all during my throwing session, which is usually about 2 hours at the wheel. I like to divide my work up between throwing and trimming and other studio work so I don't exhaust my hands or my back in any one position. Okay, I'm about centered. I've got the piece centered. I usually open up with my left hand. Put some water in there and keeping your hands touching each other, open up. Now, if you saw my demonstration on centering, we talked about the ballerina holding onto a bar for strength, and you use your torso instead of the bar for strength. You also have to think of another concept. When we were all in elementary school, we learned about a complete circuit. You know, that electrical complete circuit? that you have the wires and you have your battery and it goes one to the other. And if it's not all in a complete circuit, the electricity won't work. I want you to think about the same thing throughout the entire throwing process. This is very important. You've got to have a complete electrical circuit in order to throw a piece. Which means, if this hand is holding onto your torso, okay, the strength is there and the wheel head, and it's over on the clay, and this hand, when it gets bigger, is going to be flapping in the breeze. What's to keep this from going off and not having strength? In order to go down and not wiggle around, you've got to go down straight without movement. What's to keep that from wiggling? A complete electrical circuit. This hand. If these hands, I don't care if you do this or if this, whatever is comfortable for you, that the hands are leaning on each other, so this hand uses this hand for support, so now I have strength, and this hand uses my torso for support. We have a complete circuit. We have total support, which is what you want when you're throwing. There's going to be a time when the hands are going to have to be separated, because if you get bigger, especially with a cylinder. So this hand is going to have to be on its own. But by then, the clay is thinner, it's already in a form, it's opened up already, you need less strength, you need more precision. So now we need strength, and we're going to have the hands hold on to each other. Okay, I'm opening up, and notice that my hand is straight down to open up. I've had my hand straight in and I'm opening up. Now, how do you know if you've opened too far where you're going to hit the wheel head or your bat, or if you're just okay? Well, what I like to do is I take out the water. I use a pin tool as you use a dipstick for an oil, an oil dipstick for a car. You put it in, you see how much the oil is. Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put it in, and very nice. I've got about a quarter of an inch to almost a half an inch is what you want for your base. You don't want it too thick, and you definitely don't want it too thin. Now I need to open up the bottom of the pot, and here is where my pictures come in again. Okay, I'm going down and now I'm going across. If I were to make a U-bowl, I would open up, these pictures are very flimsy, I would open up very wide, almost like a cylinder. But because I'm making a V-bowl, I'm not going to open up very wide. I'm going to open up a little bit, and then I'm going to start opening up the pot on an angle. Right down here, this is the most important part of any bowl. Now my hands were like this. Now I'm going to change the position so I can go across the bottom of the pot and open up a little bit. Now that I've got this opened up slightly, I'm going to start leaning on this part of my hand. Lean on it, and then push down on the outside. What I just did was I opened it up like a V, I leaned on it, and then I closed out the ranks over here so it's a nice flat side. So I'm having a V in the middle and a straight side on the outside. This does, if this is fairly straight, it's going to give this support on the inside. Whenever you throw a bowl, it is governed by the inside hand, not the outside hand. You always throw a bowl from the inside. The inside hand determines the shape, the outside hand follows it. I like to clean up my water to see what it looks like. If I have any bumps, notice that in order for me to compress it, I have to hold my hand because this one is flapping in the air. And I've got a nice flat base. Now I'm going to give it a little bit of water, a little faster wheel, but not very fast, and I'm going to start opening it up. The V is on the inside, and we're starting to make a little bit of an angle on the outside. But do you see I have two different pots? I have a straight wall, and I have a V started. Okay? That's what we want for now. But slowly, we're going to open it up in a total V.